Established in 1949, the National Basketball Association is one of the world's most popular sports leagues, but the game has experienced significant alterations over the years, maybe the most significant being in 1979, with the addition of the three-point line. Today, the three-pointer has become second nature to both basketball players and fans. It's safe to say that the majority of today's NBA viewers can't recall a time when college or professional basketball was played without the three-point line. However, basketball existed for a long time without the three-point shot. The NBA in particular regarded the shot as a gimmick for many years, and the NCAA was even slower in adopting the rule. But once the three-pointer became mainstream, with the ABA leading the way in 1967, the game of basketball underwent a profound transformation. The first use of the three-point line in a professional league dates back to 1961. In the American Basketball League, the ABL only lasted for a brief 1.5 seasons, leading to the rapid disappearance of the three-pointer from the basketball scene. The NBA, an established league since 1946, hadn't seriously considered the three-point shot at the time, but when a new league emerged in competition with the NBA in the mid-1960s, the three-point shot once again took center stage. The ABA, founded in 1967, set itself apart from the NBA by experimenting with fan-friendly innovations. These included a red, white, and blue basketball, a slam dunk contest, and of course the three-point shot. Interestingly, one of the three-pointer's biggest advocates in the early days was George Mikan, a 6'10" NBA legend who likely never attempted one during his playing days. He referred to the three-pointer as the home run, claiming that the three-point shot had the power to excite the fans. In 1976, the ABA and NBA merged, with 4 ABA teams joining the NBA, moving the league from the previous 18 teams to 22. However, the three-point shot was not initially included in that merger. The NBA held on to its traditional style of play. It wasn't until 1979, during the rookie season of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird, that the NBA finally embraced the three-pointer. While certain college basketball conferences experimented with it in the early 80s, the NCAA didn't adopt a universal three-point line until 1986, with high school basketball following suit a year later. The adjustment to the three-point shot posed challenges for coaches and players alike. Coaches had to rethink their strategies, with some only resorting to the three-pointer when their team was trailing late in the game. Players also had to adapt to this new reality, learning when to take long-range shots. It was a learning curve for many, including legendary players like Michael Jordan, who had played college basketball without a three-point line. But modern developments in basketball have given rise to new styles of play, notably contributing to the emergence of the small ball approach. This style involves producing a smaller lineup, sacrificing height, strength, and defensive prowess in exchange for greater offensive success, often characterized by a heavy reliance on high-volume three-point shooting. Throughout NBA history, the game has been dominated by big men, but before the three-point line, taller and stronger players had an even greater advantage. During that time, teams centered their strategy around players who excelled near the basket, prioritizing shots taken closer to the rim, and without a three-point line, longer shot attempts were much rarer. Of course, in more recent history, the three-point rate across the entire league has shown steady growth, ascending from 22.2% during the 2010-11 season to an all-time high 39.9% in the 2021-22 season. And while the more recent 2022-23 season featured a slight drop to 38.7%, it wouldn't be crazy for the league-wide three-point attempt rate to exceed 40% in the near future. In the world of professional sports, imitation is common, but some teams have boldly redefined the landscape when it comes to their utilization of the three-point shot. Let's take a closer look of some of the historical teams that have pioneered the evolution of the long ball. Here is a graphic showing the teams that pushed the league in three-point attempt rate, each of which broke a 5% increase. The 3 seasons during which the three-point line was closer, spanning from the 94-95 season to the 96-97 season, led to a temporary surge in three-point shooting. But interestingly, each of the teams that pushed the importance of three-point attempts managed to win at least one playoff series during their respective seasons. In the past 2 decades, the team that experienced the most substantial increase in their three-point rate was the 2007-2008 Orlando Magic. During Coach Van Gundy's first season in Orlando, the Magic elevated their three-point shooting rate to 32.2%, a significant leap from the previous season's 15.8%. This achievement marked them as the first team to exceed the 30% threshold since Coach O'Brien's 2002-2003 Celtics. That jump in three-point shooting was the result of several factors, including changes in approach, player composition, and unexpected events. For example, when Tony Batiste suffered a season-ending shoulder injury prior to the start of training camp, the Magic found themselves without a conventional power forward option. As a solution, Rashard Lewis transitioned from the small forward position to power forward, forming a lineup with four sharpshooters alongside an elite rebounder in Dwight Howard. In the 2007-2008 season, the Magic made a significant leap on the offensive front, climbing from the 19th overall offensive rating in the previous season to an impressive 4th in the league. The next season, 2008-2009, saw the Magic reaching the NBA Finals. In the next year, in the 09-10 season, they surpassed the 35% threshold of three-point shooting rate, a regular season that was arguably more impressive than the year prior. But of course, how can we discuss the three-point line without bringing up the big three: Reggie Miller, Ray Allen, and Stephen Curry, the three most recent total three-point leaders. Reggie Miller commenced his NBA journey in 1987 and consistently ranked among the top 10 in made three-pointers during his first 15 seasons. He secured a top 5 spot 11 times and led the league in the category twice, but his career 2,560 three-pointers came at a pace of just 1.8 per game, taking him 1,389 games to achieve this milestone. For Ray Allen, who was drafted in 1996, he held the top position or ranked second in made three-pointers in 6 different seasons, ultimately surpassing Miller in game 1074. Then we have Stephen Curry, who took just 789 games to surpass Ray Allen. In the 2005-2006 season, Ray Allen established a new record by hitting 269 three-pointers in a single season. Fast forward to today, and that milestone has been eclipsed on 20 occasions, with Stephen Curry contributing to 8 of those instances. The current record for three-pointers made in a single season stands at 402, achieved during Curry's second MVP season, when the Warriors secured a remarkable 73 victories, and Curry was voted the unanimous MVP. What sets Curry apart even further from Miller and Allen is his propensity for taking more off-the-dribble three-pointers. Over the span of 8 seasons, approximately 54% of Curry's three-point attempts have been pull-up shots. But that trend is not exclusive to Stephen Curry. Across the league, three-point attempts shot off the dribble have increased from 23% in the 13-14 season, reaching as high as 30% in the 19-20 season. While Stephen Curry obviously represents the three-point revolution, there are other players that also represent that transformation in today's game. Let's talk about a couple, and it's probably not who you're thinking. In his 9th season in the NBA, the 7-foot center Brook Lopez attempted a staggering 12 times as many three-pointers at 387 on the season as he had in his first 8 seasons combined, which totaled for 31 attempts. But even before Lopez made the drastic change in his game, there was Channing Frye. In his first 4 seasons in the NBA, Frye split time between the Knicks and Blazers. During that period, he attempted just 70 total three-pointers, making up a mere 3% of his overall field goal attempts. Frye was primarily known as a big man with a preference for jump shots, with nearly 2/3 of his shots coming from beyond the paint. However, almost all of his jump shots were within the arc, as he attempted 61% of his shots from mid-range. That mid-range rate ranked 5th among 280 players with a minimum of 1,000 total field goal attempts over those 4 years. But everything changed for Frye when he joined the Phoenix Suns. In his first season with the Suns, he transformed the majority of those mid-range shots into three-pointers. Remarkably, over the past 2 decades, no player who attempted at least 200 shots in consecutive seasons has witnessed a more significant surge in three-point rate than Fry did in the 09-10 season. At that time, the Suns' offensive strategy continued to revolve around their 2 best players, Steve Nash and Amari Stoudemire, more often in the pick and roll. So for Channing Frye to secure more playing time, he assumed his role as a floor spacer, eliminating mid-range shots and increasing three-point attempts. Between his 4th and 5th seasons, Channing Frye experienced a notable increase in his field goal percentage, surging from 42.3% to 45.1%. But because of the increase in three-pointers over mid-range attempts, his effective field goal percentage made a remarkable leap from 44.4% to 57.3%. In the 09-10 season, among qualifying players, Channing Frye ranked 5th overall in effective field goal percentage. But even more impressive is that the 4 names ahead of him combined for a total of 13 three-point attempts, compared to Frye's 392. The surge in three-pointers has largely replaced the mid-range shot. In the past decade, the proportion of total shots attempted in the paint has remained relatively consistent. However, as the share of three-point shots has increased from 22% to 39%, the portion of mid-range shots has dwindled from 31% to a mere 13%. Looking back at the 2010-11 season, the league-wide ratio of three-point attempts to mid-range attempts was 0.72, with 26 of the 30 teams favoring the mid-range shot. But as recent as the 2021 season, the league-wide rate soared to 3.05, and the last teams to prioritize mid-range shots over three-pointers did so back in the 2016-17 season. The logic here is straightforward. Mid-range shots have a slightly higher shooting percentage than three-pointers. Consequently, three-pointers hold considerably more value than mid-range shots. By converting some, or even most of their mid-range attempts into three-pointers, a team can significantly improve their scoring efficiency, Channing Frye being a clear example of this. But in today's defensive schemes, mid-range shots are often available, and when the game is on the line, players often take the open look, commonly coming from the mid-range. But when considering the entirety of a 48-minute game played over an 82-game season, the analytics do not favor mid-range shots unless you possess exceptional mid-range shooters. Players like Chris Paul and Kevin Durant, who have consistently shot over 50% from the mid-range, are the exception to the rule. While the three-pointer has consistently increased in attempts and in focus over the years, it seems like a plateau may be on the way. As mentioned previously, the three-point attempt rate hit an all-time high in the 2021-22 season, at 39.9% of league-wide field goal attempts coming from the three. Last season, however, dropped to 38.7%, slightly lower than the previous 2 seasons. It will be interesting to see if that number continues to drop or remain around the 38 to 39% range, or maybe we'll see the continued increase in the future. Do you think three-point attempts will continue to increase? Will we ever see a return to the mid-range focus? Let us know what you think in the comments, and subscribe. Thanks for watching Basketball Pantheon.